Senator Manchin never stops fighting for West Virginia. He's protecting workers and our families. Senator Manchin, thank you for fighting against higher taxes and inflation. Gas and groceries are expensive enough. Call Senator Joe Manchin and thank him for fighting for us and opposing bills that will raise prices for West Virginia families. And ask him to never stop fighting for West Virginia. Paid for by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and supported by the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Ohio Valley Regional Transportation Authority and the Eastern Ohio Regional Transit Authority are honoring our armed forces. For over 200 years, the members of our nation's military have sacrificed so we can enjoy the freedoms our Constitution guarantees. They deserve our salute. This tribute from Ohio Valley Regional Transportation Authority and the Eastern Ohio Regional Transit Authority, serving member communities on both sides of the Ohio River. They know that we live in the land of the free thanks to the brave.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports and entertainment the Ohio Valley has ever seen. Pop in for some open basketball in our field house or reserve some turf time for your next practice or game on our synthetic fields. Online registration is open for development classes and leagues for youth and adults. Highland Sports is also the hottest destination for birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
From the Watchdog, here is your local weather forecast for your Friday. Mostly cloudy skies with a chance of afternoon showers, high of 54. Tonight, showers with thunderstorms that could produce heavy rainfall, low of 51. And for your Saturday, showers with the possibility of a thunderstorm, which could produce heavy rainfall, high of 62, but falling throughout the day. And that's your local weather forecast from the Watchdog.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
On air, online, on demand, and on video. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
It's 48 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 45 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 45 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Cloudy this morning. It's going to be mostly cloudy throughout the day. Scattered showers in the afternoon. More widespread showers this evening, 55 for the high today, up to the mid-60s tomorrow, but it's going to be a stormy day tomorrow. Come Sunday, though, the sun is back, and it's going to be a little bit cooler, around 44, but at least it'll be a sunny day. So not a bad, it's rain, I guess, but we're not looking for any kind of bad weather at any rate, except for some heavy rain tomorrow. Where have we been and where are we going today? Good news for ice rinks and ski slopes, in my mind. The Ohio County schools are bringing snow days back. Remote learning didn't seem to work real well as a sudden day off kind of activity, so they decided this week to just go ahead and have snow days, which means that when the snow comes this year, if it comes to the point that can't get to school, they'll just say, stay home, stay home. And of course, I still chuckle because the kids will stay home from school, but boy, they'll get up to Oglebay to the ski slopes, or they'll be tobogganing down the side of the hill or something. Next year's election season already gearing up. There are early announcements, some early advertising. Going to talk about that coming up in just a minute. Newspaper editor John McCabe and I have the Friday Roundtable next hour. Some stuff going on in the city of Wheeling, redevelopment efforts, Clay School, the drug house changes they made recently. We'll talk about that. Also about a meeting coming up next week between city and county officials, seeing if they can find some better ways to work together. It's kind of an historic meeting because the city and county have not gotten along real well for a while. We'll talk about that. Head into the weekend with the Friday Funnies, including some classic stand-up comedy from Robin Williams and George Carlin. 60% of us think we were born into the wrong music decade. What do you think were the best years for music that you recall? You can text me on that if you'd like to at 304-214-1600, or you can give me a call off the CityNet hotline, 304-232-8255. What were the best years that you think for the best music possible? Plus, we'll talk about identity theft for a weird reason, school board anti-vax karaoke, and walking to work may have a new meaning. I've got all of this coming up here on the show. Again, if you have something on your mind, text me, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. Always happy to have you on the phone lines. And the CityNet hotline, 304-232-8255. 8:13 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. New poll was taken yesterday, or released yesterday, taken recently. New poll released yesterday. Americans say they are tired, by a significant number. They are tired of all the political acrimony in this country. The left-right divide, the Republicans sniping at Democrats, the Democrats sniping at Republicans, this hostility between people of different parties that exists on Capitol Hill and then elsewhere in the political world. 3/4 of the people surveyed said it would be good for the country if Americans would, quote, reject political hostility and divisiveness and focus on their common ground. 72%, almost 3/4, said that it would be good if Americans would stop having this divide, stop fighting amongst each other, and try to find common ground. Biffy, I'm curious, how well do you think that would work?
I'm going to say not too well.
Yeah, not exactly right. It is devoutly to be wished, I understand, but it is not going to happen. And even the people who say they want it know it's not going to happen. 72% say they think it's good for the country if Americans reject political hostility and divisiveness and focus on their common ground. But only 9% of those same people said they think it's actually going to happen. Only 9% said it'll happen. 42% said they think that we'll see an increase in political division in this country. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I don't want to be the depressing guy. Got some texts about one of my guests yesterday being very depressing. I don't want to be the depressing guy, but I'm with those who think it's only going to get worse. I see absolutely no reason to believe that we're going to reach across the political aisle, that we're going to find a common ground. Oh, God, I wish we could, but I just don't think that. About 3/4 of the people surveyed say they value different political perspectives. 45% say they have often or sometimes had a constructive conversation about politics with someone holding opposite views in the last 12 months. And I have found that to be true. We do it sometimes on this show. Not always. Sometimes it gets pretty acrimonious here as well. But I'm able to have a conversation with people I disagree with. The guy I use for the best example, I think, Biff, is Dave McKinley. Congressman McKinley and I do not see eye to eye on most political issues. Some we do. I agreed with his vote on the infrastructure bill, for example. But we don't agree. And yet we always are able to have pleasant conversation with each other. When we see each other, outside of the radio station or outside of D.C., we talk, we ask about our families, we have a very pleasant time. Because just the fact that I don't agree with him doesn't mean I think he's a bad guy. I think Dave McKinley's a good guy. So, yeah, and I've talked about this before. A lot of my friends are from the other side of the political aisle. Now, I have a couple in recent years who I think have abandoned me. Who I think have said, no, I can't. And I'll be honest, there's at least one I can think of I've abandoned as well. There's one guy, a friend of mine, but I can never get with him without him being just nasty about his political point of view. And I can't tolerate that. I have one guy who's a very, very strong Republican. In fact, a name, if I mention it, you all would know who it is. If we have lunch together, for example, you know what we do, Biff? We just don't talk politics.
That's the easiest thing. Yeah. Just don't bring it up. You know, talk about, like you said, talk about family, talk about sports, talk about other
what
things
TV
that are
shows
out there.
Are you watching? You know, what'd you do this weekend? How's the job coming? You know, we just don't. You know, sometimes we do, and sometimes we have sort of fun debates. But in general, I'm just thinking this one particular guy. We just don't talk about it, that's all. Because probably if we started talking about it, we'd get a little bit. I won't do that. So you know, it's possible to be agreeably disagreeable, and I think maybe that's the best we can hope for. Maybe we can work harder towards that. You know, the key thing, Biffy, I think to having a better relationship with people you politically disagree with is to get to know them personally. It's easy when you're on the radio, for example, or it's easy when you're reading social media, or it's easy when there's some distance between you and the person you disagree with. Because then they just become bad people. He's an evil man. But if you know him personally, when you know people personally, you go, okay, well, you're not a bad guy. You're misinformed, you're wrong, but you're not a bad guy. You're not a bad guy. I remember speaking of Dave McKinley, and I'm not trying to promote him here, but speaking of Dave McKinley, one of the things he tried a number of years ago, I don't know if you remember this or not, Biff, McKinley tried to get members of Congress to go to baseball games together.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
He said, look, if you're sitting around eating peanuts and drinking a beer and watching a game, Democrat, Republican, it's just, you know, what's wrong with you, ump? You know, I mean, you're not yelling at each other. You're just having peanuts and beer and watching a game.
Just don't try.
That's a way for people to get together.
Just don't try that next year because they're probably still going to be on strike.
Well, there is that. Yeah, it would be kind of foolish to go to. Let me ask you this: if Major League Baseball has locked out the players right now, are they locking out the fans? You know, could you just decide to go to a game, go to the stadium someday? Could you say, well, I'm going to go to the stadium. Then we'll go to Pittsburgh and sit in the stadium. I mean, will they lock us out too?
Are we allowed to drive up, see the stadium, walk by the stadium? Can we still do that, or is that do they forbid that as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought about that with a lockout. Does that include? Are the fans locked out too? It's just the players that are locked out. If I haven't heard much about that since the lockout was announced a couple weeks ago. Anything happening on that front that you know of?
You know what? I haven't either. I think they're still at odds and try. I mean, I'm sure they're going to try and work something out, but you know, I haven't heard anything other than what was last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was.
Yeah, right after the announcement was made, and then I think both sides made a couple of comments, and then I have not heard anything since then. And maybe that's their game plan. You know, they wanted to at least make it clear they're going to stand by their principles. The MLB is, and so are the players, and then they'll go back into their quiet art discussion. I don't know. Anyways, I haven't heard anything about it since the lockout was announced. Now, but talking about it's 8:20 after the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Now, talking about politics, I want to talk about it for a minute or two here. The election season is not really officially underway. Filings for office don't officially occur till the beginning of January, but we know how some of the matchups are going to be. One of the biggest matchups of next year is going to be the Republican primary between Dave McKinley, whom I mentioned several times here, and the other incumbent who will be running against him because of the redistricting, Alex Mooney. Mooney was a guest on this show last week. That was the one where I said sometimes they don't always disagree. Sometimes we just disagree disagreeably. You can catch that interview at watchdognetwork.com on our podcast page. But I saw last night, Beth, the first salvo in this ad campaign. I don't know if you saw this or not. It was on, I think, the Big Seven. Advertising for Mooney. It was not a third party. It was from the Mooney campaign. It was I'm Alex Mooney and I paid for this message. And basically, it called Dave McKinley everything but the devil. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think you might have called him the devil.
I have seen the ad that you are talking about. Yes,
it's pretty nasty, isn't it?
that's one where as soon as it ends, you go, yeah, the shots have been fired.
Yeah, I mean, and ugly pictures of McKinley in slow motion. I forget. It was, Dave McKinley salvaged Joe Biden's president. I mean, something like that. Now he's part of the Pelosi team, and it was like, oh my God, real. But look, the interview we had with Mooney last week, or was it last week, 2 weeks ago? I mean, we saw where he was going to go with this. I mean, clearly we know how that he's going to approach this campaign. But man, that ad was just, and that's there's a rhythm and a cycle to political campaigns normally, Biff. And the rhythm normally begins with advertising that says, hey, I'm Howard Monroe and I'm a nice guy. You may remember me from the radio and how Biff and I used to laugh and joke together. And you all know my little grandson, Teddy. That's how advertising, usually it's getting people to sort of know you and think about you, right? And then somewhere along the way, it's, now I'm a nice guy and I hope you all like my grandson, but I got to tell you, this other guy isn't really good. I got some problems with him. And then by the end of the campaign, it's, that guy is a no-good, miserable. But man, that's not this. He just came out swinging. I mean, swinging big time at Dave McKinley.
Right out of the box, swinging.
I mean, as far as I know, that's the first ad that they've run, and it was just yikes-a-rooney. I mean, it was a doozy. If I had to guess, McKinley will not respond in kind. I could be wrong. I think McKinley will probably, I don't know. I shouldn't say this. I think he may take the high road. Not the high road, but the higher road. Now, he slapped it at Mooney one time publicly. Mooney was making a point about, not voting in favor of the infrastructure bill, which McKinley did vote in favor of. Dave McKinley says, look, it's bringing road dollars to our state. We're going to be able to fix roads, fix bridges in West Virginia, and we need them. And then McKinley said, I don't know what the roads in Maryland were like, Alex. Because, of course, Mooney was a Marylander who decided to come across the border, lost an election in Maryland, came across the border to run in West Virginia. So, I don't know, maybe Dave will, I don't know. But anyways, I saw this ad last night, and I was actually saddened, Biff, because I'm thinking, God help us. This is what we're going to have to go through for the next, 6 months or so?
Well, and I think for McKinley, how much is he going to have to go on the defensive?
Right.
I mean, like you said, yeah, you can do the nice ads and everything, but how many are going to be, having to defend, what he did and, against Mooney? Now, he may come out with one that, okay, certainly not like what Mooney did, but somewhat similar. He might do just one and then, just kind of go from there. I don't know, but I can see him having to go on the defensive side for this campaign.
He needs to, he has explained his position. I think he's explained it very well. Now, again, let's be clear. His vote on the infrastructure bill is a vote that I agree with. So maybe that shades the way I'm looking at it. But I think Dave McKinley explained it very well. West Virginia needs roads, bridges, broadband, and this bill, the infrastructure bill, was for roads, bridges, broadband, the hard stuff of infrastructure. Now, McKinley continues to be very Republican, very conservative, very anti-Biden on the Build Back Better bill, which he believes is a, I don't know if he ever called it socialist, but, he believes is a wildly liberal bill, and he voted against it. So he holds on to his conservative bona fides, but he can defend himself. I think the public looks at the need for roads and bridges and infrastructure and says, don't play politics with this stuff. You don't play politics with the climate change part of the bill, or you don't play politics with parental leave from the left or the right. That's one thing. But roads, bridges, broadband, we need these things. So I think the public may be, on his side there. So he can defend himself. But also, Mooney is going to, and I think he even agreed with me, Mooney did when I asked him this last week, Mooney is going to aggressively push this infrastructure vote against McKinley, going to use that as a giant stick and beat him over the head with it. But there's an issue that I think Dave McKinley has the ability to beat Mooney over the head with, and that's the ethics issue. There's an ethics investigation in Congress that Mooney spent campaign money for a lot of personal expenses to take he and his son on a fishing trip. We talked about it. We talked about it with Mooney, and it was when he really wouldn't answer my question. The allegation is that he spent money, campaign money, for lunches at Chick-fil-A and other places. And when they said, why do you think that's a campaign issue? And he said, well, there might be constituents there. I drew the analogy. I said, it would be like me telling the IRS that I can deduct my lunches all the time because could be a listener in the place. Going up to the West Sports Bar, there might be a listener here. I guess I better deduct my lunch. That's silly. In fact, I think I said to Mooney, I called it embarrassing. I said, aren't you embarrassed, Congressman? Anyways, the first shots have been fired, Biff. The salvos have been shot. We'll see how McKinley responds. If he responds, will he keep his powder dry for a while, or is he going to be forced to come back out swinging, either defending or going on the attack here? Certainly seeing that ad, Biff, verified in my mind what I had been saying all along. This is going to be two things, this election between McKinley and Mooney for the Republican nomination. It's going to be nasty, and it's going to be one of the most watched races in this area next year, no question about it. Now, there's another guy that I used to always get along well with on a personal level. He was a Republican, and yet we would fight tooth and nail on politics issues. And that was Chris Wakem. Remember Chris Wakem, Biff?
Yeah, I remember him.
Chris was a member of the House of Delegates for a couple of terms. I remember telling Chris, because I would talk to people in Charleston, and they'd say, that guy's crazy. The Republicans even said, we don't pay attention to him. I remember telling Chris, I said, they don't like you down there. Oh, I'm tired, I don't disagree. I don't agree with that. He ran for Congress against Alan Mollahan, lost, but he was the Republican nominee for Congress. So it was an interesting race. I don't think he really gave Mollahan a hard fight, but it was an interesting race. I covered that race quite extensively. Interesting things happened in that race. There's a lot of questions raised about Chris Wakem's military service. He had received some military injuries. And how did he phrase it? It wasn't Vietnam. What era was he in? Iraq War veteran? And as he said, he left the impression he got them while he was fighting overseas. And in point of fact, he never was overseas. They still were war injuries, but they wasn't overseas. It was like you had to make it bigger than it was, because what it was good enough. And then he made a big deal about his Harvard degree from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard. And it turned out he was got an extension degree from Harvard in something else. It wasn't the Kennedy School of Government. I will always remember being on a big conference call, a lot of national reporters, and Chris was there, and one reporter was pushing him on this issue and said, hey, now you claim that your degree is from the Kennedy School of Government, and is that true? Yes, I believe that's true. And he said, well, but what does your diploma actually say? Chris said, well, it's in Latin. I can't read Latin. And the reporter said, well, I can. And then read it to him, and it was a little embarrassing. Now, why am I bringing Chris up? Well, two reasons. For all of the disagreements I had with him, I actually like Chris, and still do. I haven't seen him for a couple of years now. But I like Chris. We would go to lunch together. We got along well together on a personal level. Didn't agree at all with his politics, but got along well on a personal level. His daughter has now announced she's running for the state Senate. Laura Wakeham Chapman is an attorney, a mother, and Chris Wakeham's daughter. Not that that's relevant, except it is only because it's a political family. She announced yesterday she's going to run as a Republican next year for the 1st District State Senate seat. It's the one that Owens Brown currently holds, although it's the seat we might more recently know as Bill Ehlenfeld's seat. Bill, of course, went back to being a federal prosecutor. Owens Brown is in, supposedly temporarily. I understand that when Owens took the seat, he had said he was not going to run for it full time, but that could change, so I'm not saying that's the case, but that's what he had indicated. So Chapman is going to run for that state Senate seat. She made the announcement yesterday in downtown Wheeling. She said that, let's see, where's some notes here? She says, a graduate of Mount Oshano and WVU, it's an amazing state, a great community, a great place to raise a family. She said that she wants to, I'm looking for the notes here. She wants to support small businesses and big businesses and help families, and economic development will be her first priority. This is not meant as a criticism of Ms. Wakeham, Mrs. Chapman, excuse me. This is not. It is not. This is a criticism of every single candidate who ever files. Everybody always says, Biff, my first concern is job creation. Okay. How? You know what?
What's the plan?
Of course, economic development and job creation has to be one of the top 2 or 3 issues that any candidate for any office wants to see done. And again, I'm not picking on this woman right now because every candidate does this. But somebody's got to say, but what are you going to do about it? I mean, okay, I understand you think do you believe there's anybody in office who doesn't in their mind believe they've got job creation as the most important thing to do? And we never pursue that, I guess. I try to, but anyway, so that race is underway. Laura Wakeham Chapman is now running. Well, the filing isn't until January, but she has announced she is entering the race for the state Senate seat. Currently held by Owens Brown, but again, I don't think Owens is going to run for re-election. I don't know. I've tried to get Owens on the show several times. We have a nice relationship, but he does not get back very quickly. So I've tried to get him on a couple of times. I haven't had him on, but my sense is that he's not going to run again. So that's one of the election conversations I want to have. So the election season is gearing up. Mooney is throwing heavy artillery out against Dave McKinley already. The state Senate seat is already beginning to be contested. And will there be other Republicans? I wouldn't be surprised if other Republicans didn't announce. I hear some names being bandied about, but some of that, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on right now because there are going to be some potential openings in other offices, and people are trying to figure out where they want to go. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another Republican run for that state Senate seat. And I have no sense of who the Democrats might be. Although certainly one of the names that would be popping up into my head, Biffy, would be the puppet master.
Oh, Sean Fluharty.
You know, I think Sean put his name in the ring, his hat in the ring for the temporary seat when Ehlenfeld left, and I think he had said on this show that he intended to run for the seat. But I've been talking to people who say they're not so sure that's going to be the case anymore. I think Sean would be a strong contender for that Democratic nomination as well. So politics is gearing up. We've been kind of on the light and easy side of things for the last, certainly for the last few weeks, and really for a couple of months. But we're going to start after the first of the year. We've got 2 things happening that we'll be spending a lot more serious time on. Number one, well, actually 3 things, but number one will be the state legislature back in session beginning January 12th. You know, we follow that pretty closely. We'll have a lot of coverage of that. And then number 2, as the elections gear up, there are a number of things I think can be very interesting here in the local area. We will bring it all to you. But in the meantime, we like to have fun too, don't we, Ben?
Yes, we do.
I think we'll have some fun coming up in the next half hour. I call it the Friday Funnies. A little bit of laughter from Robin Williams and George Carlin. Old days of Robin Williams and George Carlin. Plus, I want you to hear a little school board karaoke. We'll get to that coming up and what they were laughing about last night on Late Night. All of that coming up on the Friday Funnies after we check the news for you right now.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time. The Watch.
Metro News Sports, good morning. I'm Kyle Wiggs, Martinsburg Senior Hudson Club. Metro News Sports, good morning. I'm Kyle Wiggs, Martinsburg Senior Hudson Clement as the Metro News High School Football Player of the Year. Clement had 87 receptions for over 1,700 yards, 23 touchdowns. He had a record 8 touchdowns, 4 receiving, 4 rushing in Martinsburg's Super 6 win over Huntington last Saturday. Clement received 13 of 20 first-place votes. He had 77 points to win the Metro News Award. Independence running back Atticus Goodson had 3 first-place votes. He was runner-up with Gavin Lockow of Huntington coming in third. Ritchie County standout Gus Morrison, who had 5 Super 6 touchdowns, finished 4th in the voting. He received 1 first-place vote. WVU sophomore center Zach Frazier was named to the Walter Camp Football Foundation All-America's second team. Frazier, a 2021 All-Big 12 Conference second-team lineman, becomes WVU's 25th Walter Camp postseason All-American. Division II college soccer, University of Charleston and University of Indianapolis tied at 1 after regulation. UC wins 5-3 on penalty kicks. So that's a victory that moves the University of Charleston into the Division II National Championship game. They'll play Cal State LA in the title game Saturday. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. Thursday night NFL, Minnesota beat the Steelers 36-28. Dalvin Cook rushed for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. Steelers had a furious second-half comeback after falling behind 29-0. They rallied and had the ball with a pass falling incomplete in the end zone on the final play of the game. College hoops, Rutgers beat number 1 Purdue 70-68 on a Ron Harper Jr. buzzer beater. From the Metro News Sports Desk, I'm Kyle Wiggs.
ever, or the all-new redesigned Tundra with uncompromising full-size power. Visit your Toyota dealer today or go online to buyatoyota.com, the official website for deals. But hurry, Toyotathon ends January 3rd. Toyota, let's go places.
Washington County's largest gun show is back on Saturday and Sunday, January 8th and 9th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Washington County Fairgrounds. Admission is only $7, and kids under 12 get in free with an adult. Everyone is welcome. They offer free appraisals and great prices on all types of firearms, modern, military, and antique. Oh, by the way, they also have a great assortment of knives. They have over 450 tables with cash buyers on site for your used guns. Visit arhsportshop.com or give them a call at 724-948-3571. Once again, that's 724-948-3571 for more information. The Washington County Gun Show, presented by ARH Sports Shop, January 8th and 9th.
With all the madness in Washington, Senator Manchin never stops fighting for West Virginia. He's protecting workers and our families. Senator Manchin, thank you for fighting against higher taxes and inflation. Gas and groceries are expensive enough. Call Senator Joe Manchin and thank him for fighting for us and opposing bills that will raise prices for West Virginia families. And ask him to never stop fighting for West Virginia. Paid for by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and supported by the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, this is Stacy Spry from Spry's Mail Center Plus. It's that time of year to get your packages to your loved ones for the holiday. We send UPS, FedEx, DHL, and the United States Post Office. We're also the official shipper for Ohio Valley favorites like Patsy's Pizza, Figueretti's Spaghetti Sauce, Jebbia's Fruit Baskets, and Coleman's Fish. Just give us a call and we'll make all the arrangements. As always, we do copies, faxes, emails, scanning, mailbox rental, and much more. Once again, we're teaming up with WKKX for Letters to Santa, so have your kiddos stop by with their letters to read on air by Santa himself. For any shipping or office needs, call me, Stacy Spry, at 304-232-1885. And finally, thank you for giving my family the pleasure of serving you and your family for over 14 years. Happy holidays from all of us at Spry's Mail Center Plus.
Your friends and the members of Roofers Union Local 188 in Wheeling remind you that we are fortunate that when necessary, we have one of the strongest militaries in existence. The individuals who make up our military deserve our respect and support, and we salute them. This message from all the great and caring folks, that's the members of Roofers Union Local 188 out of Wheeling, representing licensed, bonded, and insured roofers for all residential and commercial projects. That's Roofers Union Local 188, wishing everyone a safe and healthy season.
With the new law, more people qualify for financial assistance at healthcare.gov. Real customers like Taylor.
You know, I wish people knew how easy it was to get health coverage. This new law has made it so affordable. I'm only paying $52 a month, but there are quality plans for even less.
New law, lower prices, more people qualify. Enroll by December 15th at healthcare.gov.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
My son is not some statistic.
My daughter's not a headline.
My girl, she's not someone's agenda.
What she
is
irreplaceable. COVID hospitalizations of young people have
tripled since the start of summer.
So I talked to my daughter's doctor about COVID vaccines.
And she said they're highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant.
We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gellner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gellnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Dominating both AM and FM, the Watchdog is AM 1600 and 1370, FM 98.1 and 97.7. We are the Watchdog.
This is another Sound of the Season. You're listening to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
You can plan on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree.
Such a good song. I hate to even interrupt the music, but I guess I'll have to. 48 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 46 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 45 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Going to be cloudy, scattered showers this afternoon, more widespread showers into the evening. Daytime high 55, down to around 50 overnight tonight. And tomorrow could be a record high. 64 is the record for the day tomorrow, and that's what we're aiming for tomorrow, according to Aaron over at the Big 7. But it's going to be a very rainy and stormy day tomorrow, so that's the forecast that you have to look forward to. 13 to the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Try and give you a little humor and fun stuff on Fridays. You know the holidays are officially here, I guess, when even the anti-mask protesters go a little festive. A woman in San Diego is going viral after she showed up at a county board meeting this week with her cute little Santa hat on, and she got out her little mini karaoke machine, and she sang a parody of All I Want for Christmas Is You, talking about ivermectin and talking about useless masks and my body is my right and we have to follow the Constitution. This was the entertainment they had at the board meeting.
Ivermectin, not just horse paste, and hydroxychloroquine, vitamin C and vitamin D, then the zinc and quercetin. I won't wear a useless mask. I don't need to stay at home, and my kids should go to school. We don't need to be alone. I just want my freedom now. The Constitution will show us how. Make my dreams come true. Baby, I end the emergency. Let's have a happy holiday, everybody.
The video that I've seen of that is only on her, because I would love to see the reverse image, of the board members sitting there like, what the hell is this?
We wasted time out of our evening for this.
Although I suppose that's better than, some of the ones who have been there and saying things like, we'll get you and we'll get your family if you make us wear masks. So I guess putting on a Santa hat and singing a song. It was funny to watch her again. If you see the video of this, to begin, she comes up to the podium and then she sets up her little karaoke. It's off her iPhone, but she sets up her little karaoke machine and puts her hat on her head. It's like, oh man, you got to be kidding me. She was okay. It wasn't, I don't think she's going to win America's Got Talent, Biff.
No, they wouldn't vote for her on that.
No, I don't think so. But, it was okay. It was okay. Apparently, the county board in San Diego was talking about extending the local health emergency, continuing to allow the health department to say, you need to wear masks and so on. And so this was her protest of that. It didn't succeed. Her protest didn't succeed. The extension did pass at that San Diego County Commission. That was a county commission. I guess it was a county commission meeting. Ivermectin, da-da-da-da. Oh, my God. Drinkable Christmas ornaments. Okay.
No.
That's something coming out from the beer distributors. I don't quite understand why. but drinkable Christmas ornaments are coming out. It is one of the things that the late night comics last night were having a little bit of fun with.
The Omicron variant, whatever they call it, is here, and no one has been hit harder than the owners of a little restaurant in West Bend, Wisconsin.
The family restaurant in Wisconsin is trying to make the best of a bad situation. The restaurant, named Omicron, was started by Greek immigrant brothers 50 years ago.
I told you we should have named it Chlamydia. You don't listen.
Hey, I read that New York City postal workers have been accused of stealing credit cards from the mail and spending nearly $1 million on luxury items. That explains why the mailman tipped me for Christmas. I was wondering.
The makers of Miller Lite recently began offering drinkable Christmas ornaments. Oh, they're drinkable? What's inside them? Heineken?
Little jab at Miller there, I guess. All right. Drinkable. I got to find out more about drinkable Christmas ornaments, Biff.
Nah, save your money.
I have any interest in a drinkable Christmas ornament. Yeah,
Save your money on that
I'm
one.
going to drink, if I'm going to drink, I would just prefer to, have a bottle of Bud Light, if you don't mind, please.
Or a half a dozen of them.
Christmas ornaments. That too would work. that too would work. And finally, on our Friday Funnies, a little bit of stand-up comedy. I dipped into the archives today. A couple of clips. One from the late Robin Williams, I have to say, the late, great Robin Williams, from some of his earlier days. And also George Carlin, who has always been one of my absolute favorite comedians. When he first came on the scene in the 60s and 70s, he was just a very funny sort of did you ever wonder about kind of comedian. Later, he became a much more politically satire-oriented comedian. But this is one of the clips from his early days. So we got Robin Williams and George Carlin on our stand-up comedy here for the Friday Funnies.
And most cars now have GPS, which is kind of cool. I have a GPS in my car. I was driving across the Golden Gate Bridge. I was halfway across, and all of a sudden the car went, take a right turn. What? No can do, Hal. Not that depressed, really. And maybe they should have a GPS that ages with you, becomes age appropriate. So eventually the car's going, there's your turn, hello! No, that's it. Maybe the next one, that could be it. That might be it. Yeah, that's the one. There used to be a gas station there, yeah. That's when gas was a nickel a gallon. That's it, yeah. I want a Scottish GPS, because I think that would be an honest GPS. It'd be going, there's your turn. You've missed it, you idiot. Yeah. And they say that Bob Dylan is going to be making a GPS. I want that GPS. Driving down the road, look ahead, there's a light. Fairly soon, very soon, you're going to have to take a ride. Driving along, driving on the land of the free. Don't remember to pull off, and you have to take a pee. Do it now.
Do you ever notice, and of course you've noticed, but I'm just saying that anyway, in a seafood restaurant, a lot of times they have a tank out in the front there with lobsters in it, and you have to pick out your lobster, and then they bring it back and drop it in boiling water. You know what would make that different? If they would paint the name of the lobster on the back of the shell. Could you do that? Could you say, yeah, Smiley. Boil Smiley. This is fun. Go into a gun store, buy a gun, then buy some ammunition, then ask them if they have any ski masks. Do you ever eat chicken at lunch, like you have a chicken salad sandwich, and then that night you go to someone's house and they serve chicken? Do you ever wonder if the two chickens knew each other? I'll bet you anything, there are very few people hooked on crack who can play the bagpipes.
Later in life, George Carlin became much more of a politically oriented comedian, and he was great at that too. I mean, his political satire was wonderful, but early on it was just the did you know kind of stuff. Did you ever wonder? And I get a kick out of that stuff, That's the kind of thing that can make you laugh sometimes. Some of the comedians today, Biff, here I go, I'm an old man. Here he goes, I'm the old man on the radio again. some of the comedians today, you know, it's all full of profanity and it's all full of sex and I don't know what. You know, I watch a lot of little comedy clips that pop up on Facebook, on the, you know, watch screen on Facebook. And half of the comedians anymore are talking about their sex lives. And I don't mean in sort of a, you know, the old Rodney Dangerfield, you know, my wife had sex 6 times last week. I caught her 5 of them. Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. It's all, you know, I can't even talk about it. You know, they're women discussing how they like, it's like, when did that become comedy? Yeah, I guess I'm just getting too old for that kind of stuff.
Well, and I mean, you kind of forget.
But I love this.
You kind of forget, too, how good Robin Williams and George Carlin were.
Absolutely. You know, what a tragic loss when Williams took his own life. Although, did you notice there was a suicide reference in that bit?
Oh, yeah.
GPS going across the bridge, and the GPS said turn right, which, you know, basically like turn right and go over the side of the bridge. I watch a lot of these clips primarily on Facebook, and then you know how it goes, Biffy. I watch one, and then it gets me thinking, oh, I got to go look up some more Robin Williams bits, and I watch some of the old bits. The man was a genius. I mean, a genius beyond belief. And you never knew. I never knew unless I would watch 2 or 3 of the same bits being done. Half the time, I felt like he was just making it up on the fly, right?
Oh, I know. I mean, you got that feeling
making
about
it up
him.
while he's going along. Yeah. What a tragedy it was when because I mean he was, and you're right, we sometimes forget how funny, absolutely unbelievably funny he was. And Carlin the same way. Again, I've always been a huge fan of George Carlin's. In his early days, he did the hippy dippy weatherman. I remember that. That was a funny bit. And then again, he became more politically very liberal and almost libertarian, I think, actually, in his later years. And his satire, his comedy became more oriented towards that. It was good stuff. It wasn't that basic, did you ever wonder kind of stuff. All right, my friends, always on Friday, the Friday Funnies. Give you a little something to laugh about and think about before you head off into the weekend. Now, we will get serious next hour. I don't know, it's McCabe. Sometimes we're serious, and you can never tell with John. But next hour is the Friday Roundtable. There are a number of things going on in the city of Wheeling, the Clay School thing, the redevelopment of the 1400 block I want to talk about. And there's a meeting coming up this week between the city and the county to try and see how can they work together better. Why don't they work together better now? McCabe, I think, has some ideas on that. So John and I will kick around the Ohio Valley News Week in Review on the Friday Roundtable coming up in the next hour of the show. Right now, with 48 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, it's 9 o'clock and ABC covers the world.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC.
Hours for everybody else. About bats. Oh.
Then we talked about, well, you know, I don't know, nothing. I don't really know what I want. So we'll just talk about nothing. So how's nothing? And I just went on and on about nothing. He said, I don't want to talk about anything. I said, people talk about anything. Finally, he did. Yeah, well, you're funny. He was good. I don't think we pick him up today.
And we'll find out during the day.